Welcome back to my kitchen, Real Women of Philadelphia. My name is Sarah, and today I'll be sharing with you my recipe for Philly Fresh Strawberry Rhubarb Pie. First, I'm going to make my pastry for my tart shells. If you're feeling tight on time, you can purchase tart shells from your local grocery store. The first thing I'm going to do is add 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Next, I'm going to add vegetable shortening. I have 1 cup of that. I keep my shortening in the refrigerator so that my pastry tastes really light and flaky. I'm going to cut up my vegetable shortening and slice it into my flour. Next, I'll add a little salt. Then I'll use a knife and cut the things together. Now that my flour and shortening is mixed together, it's time to put in some water. I use ice cubes in my water to keep it as cold as possible, again so that my pastry tastes really flaky. I'm going to put the water in just a few tablespoons at a time. It should take about 6 to 8 tablespoons. Now I've mixed up my pastry and formed it into a nice circle. I'm ready to roll it out and cut it into nice squares to fit into my muffin tins to bake my tart shells. Feels a little sticky, so I'm going to add a little bit of extra flour on top. Alright, I'm all set to cut my pastry into squares for my muffin tin. You can also use a large circle cookie cutter, but I like to see the crispy little edges and corners poking up around my tart, so I'm going to cut mine into squares. And don't worry if it's not perfect. I think it always looks better because everyone can tell it's homemade that way. Now I've got some little pieces of pastry ready, all set to put into my muffin tin. I'll load up my muffin tin and then I'll poke holes into each of the bottoms with my fork. This helps my tart shells to stay nice and flat so that I can fill them up with a Philadelphia cream cheese mixture, strawberries, and a delicious rhubarb sauce. So I'll just finish filling up my muffin tin tray, pop it into the oven, and I'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. I think my tart shells are done. I better take them out of the oven. They look a little uneven, but that's okay. They're homemade. I'll just let them cool for a bit now. Now that my pastry shells are out of the oven and cooling, I'm ready to make my rhubarb sauce. I have half a cup of water on the stove, and I'm turning it on to medium heat. To that water, I'm going to add half a cup of sugar. This will make a simple syrup mixture and will be the base for my rhubarb sauce. The sugar is all dissolved into the water, so that means it's time to add my rhubarb. I'm going to let this cook on medium to high heat until the rhubarb starts to get quite soft and this turns into a nice sauce. When my rhubarb sauce is finishing cooking, I'm going to show you how to make my Philadelphia cream cheese and honey sauce. I'm using creamed honey, but you can use the liquid honey too. Either one is fine. You want to add equal parts honey and cream cheese. About 2 tablespoons of each. The cream cheese and honey is in a microwavable bowl, and I'm going to put it into my microwave for about 30 to 60 seconds. Now the honey's melted and it's pretty hot, so it should melt my cream cheese when I stir it together. My rhubarb sauce is starting to boil, so I have a potato masher, and I'm just going to encourage the rhubarb to soften a little bit. You could actually use any type of fruit for this pie. When I was little, my mom used to use strawberries and strawberry sauce. That's what makes this pie just so nice. Before I layer up my tarts, I just have one last quick Philadelphia cream cheese topping to put on. In this bowl, I have some white chocolate chips, a little bit of shortening, and some Philadelphia cream cheese. I'm just going to put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds just so everything can soften. So now everything's done and all I have to do is layer up my tart. Next, I have some delicious fresh strawberries. The only thing I've done to these is wash them, cuts the tops off, and because some of them were a little bit big for tart, I cut them in half. The next thing to go in is my rhubarb sauce. It became a lovely consistency after I used my potato masher on it. It's almost like a jam, but without the gelatin in it. Just two last things and then I can dig in. First is my cream cheese and honey mixture. I'm just going to drizzle it on top. And last, some fresh mint from my local market. I think this looks good. Oh, listen to that pastry crack. So many fresh things in one bite. It's a big bite of heaven.